What is going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, and today we're going to be talking about the new clan boss king monster known as Mountain King. Now, normally when people think about this champion, you say, put him in a shield set, give him some damage, put him in arena. This is an arena champion for sure. Possibly he has that potential to help you out in dungeons, faction wars, all of that good stuff because it hits so hard. But what if I told you that his damage is actually insane? Now, the main thing to remember about Mountain King is his attacks are based on HP and attack, not simply attack. And now this is something that people often overlook. Now, this has been a topic that I have played around with in the past. I thought I made a video on it. Apparently it turns out that I did not. But that's what we're here to talk about today. What makes this so good is everyone knows that defensive champions have that edge up in the clan boss because you're stacking defense, which increases their damage but also increases their survivability. However, HP champions are often overlooked and they do the exact same thing, just not quite as good as defense champions, but significantly better than attack-based champions. So taking someone like Mountain King, who has awesome base stats and ridiculous base health, it was very easy for me to see this a while ago and say, why not try Mountain King out in the clan boss? And the results were absolutely stunning. So let's get right into the run and see what this king can actually do in action. So for this clan boss team, we're going to be using Sepulchre Sentinel as the leader, Valkyrie, Dracomorph for a damage comparison, as well as Tyrant. So let's start this off. I do have to manual the beginning parts and I'll explain why as we're going through. We're going to start off with an A1 here. Now, the key factor here, and it's really cool, I'll show you the gear after, none of these champions are wearing lifesteal gear. Obviously, Tyrant has the ability to self-heal, which is really cool, but let's just take a look at Mountain King's A2 ability without a defense down and weaken. 113,000 plus 35 in the War Master proc, so we're looking at over 2 poisons as far as how much damage he just did without defense down and weaken. So this is going to be completely awesome, especially when we get further into this match. So now we're getting very close to our auto. We're going to be able to do it just after here. The only main concern with this team, as we can see here, is the damage taken before this is going to play a huge role in who gets stunned for the rest of the time. So an unlucky crit can definitely prove to be a bit worrisome going forward. Now we're going to use this A2 ability, increase defense and block debuff. A1 here, and now we can simply put this on auto and watch this awesome team. As mentioned before, Tyrant is going to full heal based on his kit, having that HP burn, which also puts a damage reduction on the remaining of the team, which is a really good sign. So now we have awesome damage, 113,000 from the A1 ability. Let's see if we can see. Okay, we're still on the A1, 141,000, really cool to see. As mentioned, no one here is in lifesteal. We simply have the base healing from Tyrant. I do have Mountain King, Valkyrie, and Sepulchre Sentinel in an Immortal set. Kind of keep things sustained. However, in the end, web condition is going to be, if I geared this properly, Sepulchre Sentinel, and she's not in lifesteal, she's going to be taking increased stun damage. And without the ability to heal back up, it's going to cut her short in this stun. However, as mentioned before, and I'm going to reiterate this point, the way you know you've built a perfectly balanced clan boss team is you want the person taking the stun to always die first. This gives you the greatest chance of extending out that clan boss as opposed to having 3, 4, or 5 champions killed straight off from an AoE. You want one champion to die and then slowly have a trickle down effect, unless it's your attack down where you're simply just getting maybe 1 or 2 full attacks out of your team, which still is an improvement from just getting completely one shot on an AoE. So as mentioned, as far as the build goes, I do have Sepulchre Sentinel on a 4:3 ratio for speed, so she is going twice, always providing that block debuff for the stun, as well as making sure that Valkyrie always has her defense up when she's applying that gigantic shield to the team. Valkyrie is the only reason why this actually does work without lifesteal. If you wanted to replicate something like this without a Valkyrie, you would definitely need lifesteal and or stalwart on someone like Tyrant Ixlamore if you wanted to make this work. So as mentioned before, we can see Mountain King's health he is completely towering over the rest of the champions with all of his really small dashes in his health, meaning he has a ton of health here. And one thing to notice is you cannot just avoid stacking defense on a Mountain King if you do want to use this champion, because while health is good, if you have no defense, he's just going to get hit harder, and it's going to pretty much negate the fact that you have so much health on this champion. So definitely don't build him with, I don't know, 1600, 1500 defense and expect to run an Ultra Nightmare. I have tried this with 2000 defense. I think I'm slightly above 2000, maybe 2500. We will see on the stats when we do get there. But overall, it's a ton of fun to watch this champion here just completely dominating. We don't have defense down, and Valkyrie's shield, as everyone knows, is extremely, I don't want to say overpowered, but extremely strong. Actually, we will say overpowered, because everyone knows who has Valkyrie how good she is, and everyone knows who doesn't have Valkyrie how good she is as well. So it looks like we are getting a bit unlucky with the tack down not landing on the boss. Finally, there we have it. So we're hoping for some sustain there. That is a problem that has nothing to do with this team composition. Everyone struggles with this on getting their attack down to land, and it can be very annoying if it does not land. But as we've seen so far from this video, the amount of damage that Mountain King doing is just incredible. Hopefully we'll get to see one of his A2 or A3s here. Now it looks like just 156,000 from that A1, which is the equivalent of 3 poisons like I said before. So this champion is going to do fantastic work. 107,000 on that counterattack, equivalent to 2 poisons. I am breaking things down in poisons because usually if you're going to use him, he would take the role of a poison slot. We just saw 182,000 there from, I believe, his A3, but his A2 is the hard hitter, and it looks like he is not going to use it with that defense down weaken on the boss. But usually when he does use that ability, we are looking at, actually things are setting up where he's going to use it in the next turn, so let's just go ahead and see what kind of numbers we can get. Okay, Draco landed his debuffs, that's good. 187,000. So not as much. Obviously there's a threshold with crit. Sometimes I've seen him go all the way up to 240,000 with that A2 ability, since it does ignore defense, which is gigantic for a champion that has so much survivability like Mountain King in the clan boss. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let this run, and I'm going to meet back up with you guys once we hit that final screen to show the results of this. So in your mind, try and take a guess at how much damage this Mountain King is going to do, and we'll see you all there. So unfortunately for me and for this run, Sepulchre Sentinel decided not to land her attack down around turn 33, making Tyrant and Draco die, which was awful to see. However, we can still get the basic recap here. So we have Sepulchre Sentinel with 5.2 million damage, Tyrant Ix the Moor 6.2 million damage, Mountain King at an awesome 9.7 mil, Valkyrie at 5.2, Dracomorph at 10.6, although he did die early, totaling up for 37.11 million damage in Ultra Nightmare. Now this team, if everything goes correctly, can do well over 40 million damage, closer to that 45-50 million damage per key. But the main takeaway here is how close Mountain King's damage actually is to Dracomorph, who is an attack based champion, the best poisoner in the game, also having that defense down on weekend. So this is absolutely incredible, and I definitely wanted to share this with you guys as to how strong Mountain King can actually be, especially for early to mid game accounts. So hopefully if you see this, if you have this guy, consider using him in clan boss. He is so easy to build, 100% crit rate, health, a little bit of defense. He will survive, he will do so much damage, and he can definitely fill that secondary poison slot. The main benefit here is he doesn't take up any debuffs on the boss. So if you're using someone like a Frozen Banshee in a counterattack team, you know the main problem is she's overcapping debuffs. Sometimes she can prevent a defense down, a weaken, even a attack down from applying to your boss. Mountain King solves that problem easily, and he doesn't really need books. All it does is increase his damage. Cooldowns are fine, he still does a ton of damage without it. So let's go over the gear so you guys can see what I'm working with here. Starting off with the highlight champion of today, we do have Mountain King, totaling at 102,000 health. 3100 attack, 2.3 thousand defense, so extremely low defense, especially for Ultra Nightmare. I've always said a beginner going into Ultra Nightmare should have 3.5 thousand defense minimum if you want to do any type of content. With the effect of defense up, allied protection, you can get away with 2.3 thousand defense and survive. I only made it to the rounds of like 39 with this team since we did have a Death and Tyrant, but I can get all the way up to around 45 with the champion at 2,391 defense, which is absolutely insane. So you have 106 crit rate, 278 crit damage. The other stats don't matter. As far as masteries, as always, the masteries on all the champions are going to look exactly like this. Everything's the same there. Moving on to our next champion, we have Tyrant Ixlamore. He's an awesome champion as well. His total stats, just under 44,000 health, 5,100 defense, 177 speed. Ideally, I'd want to swap Tyrant and Mountain King speed, so Mountain King is a bit faster than Tyrant, but that's a very small min-max issue that's not worth getting into. 96% crit, so his consistency is down a little bit. I did try to focus on defense because I wasn't sure how well he was going to do survivability wise with that ally protection, but he actually ended up doing fine. 272 accuracy, 231 crit damage. The next champion we have, as always, is our Dracomorph. 29,000 health, rather low on health, 3,800 defense. He is someone you're going to need more defense on, being that attack based champion, not having that insane buffer of health like a Mountain King does have. 100% crit rate, 3,300 attack, 254 crit damage, and 270 accuracy. Moving on to our Valkyrie, who is simply there to apply the shield. 7,500 defense, 39,000 health, 172 speed, obviously being the slowest on the team, 81% crit rate, 149 crit damage. One thing I didn't do to properly min-max this team is lower Valkyrie's defense a slight bit, increase her crit rate, and increase her crit damage. The more damage I can get out of this champion, the better, since her shield is so big. As mentioned before, the stun target being Sepulchre Sentinel without lifesteal gear is always going to die first, so I can definitely sacrifice on that shield, give more damage to a champion like Valkyrie, and my results will improve overall in my Ultra Nightmare key. Moving on to the final champion this evening, we have Sepulchre Sentinel, 34,000 health. As you may or may not know, the stun is based on how much health the champion has. The lower the health, the less damage it's going to do. Also, just for a fun fact in case you didn't know this, attack down actually doesn't affect the amount of damage that is done to your champion on the stun. So that's a slight interesting fact to know, since it's all based on the champion it's hitting's health. We have 5,000 defense, 233 speed, 83% crit rate. Once again, suboptimal should be 100, 144% crit damage. That's the best I could do, and 265 accuracy. And still, she insisted on not landing that attack down when I did need it the most. Alright guys, so that concludes it for my video today. Let me know, what do you think about this awesome champion Mountain King being used in the clan boss? I really did think I got a video out on this. It turns out that I didn't. So hopefully you were as surprised and impressed with Mountain King as I was. Let me know, did you expect him to do as much damage being so close to Dracomorph as he was? Even in the rounds that live for a long time, he's usually within 1.5 million damage of Dracomorph, being that best damage dealer for the clan boss outside of someone like Lord Shazar. Obviously, if you've seen any of my videos, as well as Turvold, he definitely has the potential to out-damage Dracomorph. That's in a very specific team composition. For overall use, Dracomorph is definitely the #1 damage dealer, and for someone like Mountain King to come out of practically nowhere, since I haven't talked about this yet, and do so much damage in the clan boss, for me it's awesome to see. Give me your feedback in the comments. As always, if you like this content, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and I will see everybody in the next upload.